Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to another quick edition of StatHow. First, the elephant in the room. So it says here North America and Europe have an electricity access rate of 100%. And so, meaning that if you are this color, this very light color, that means you have a 100% access rate. Not nearly, not 99, not 98. This really doesn't make sense to me. I tried to look up what they mean by electricity access rate, and it basically means what you think it would, meaning that you have access to electricity. The reason why I bring this up is that obviously there are places in rural America, especially rural China or in the middle of far-flung Siberia or like in rural Kazakhstan that don't have access to electricity. I know groups of people in, especially like in Appalachia, who just don't have access to electricity, period. Obviously, there are people who like to live off the grid, but there are definitely poor people, even in the United States, who just don't have access to electricity, especially in very poor parts of rural China or especially in Siberia. Many of these very rural places in the world, not just skeptical. I know that many people here just do not have access to electricity. So I find this 100% number to be, quite frankly, bullshit. I think 99% would be a much better number. And that's disregarding the fact that even countries, dictatorship countries, again, like in Russia, your Central Asian countries, China, where it would look much better on their governments for them to say that, yes, we have a 100% electricity access rate, where it's probably much lower than that. Before we go over this, remember that if anything, these numbers are probably overestimate. As we know, some of these countries definitely don't have a 100% access rate. I think it would be much more honest for them to say something like 99% access. So let's go over some of the countries that don't fall into this 99 or 100% rate. Most of North and South America fall into the 100% rate. The biggest one here is Haiti, with multiple natural disasters compounded by the fact that they have maybe corrupt government and stuff like that, just makes it so that they never fully get access to electricity, especially with hurricane season being hit every year after year. Really makes it hard for some of these Caribbean nations to keep constant access to electricity. And then, of course, you have a couple of places that are in the 80s, 90s. Before we get to, of course, in Africa, a couple other places in Asia that have low access rates is, of course, the Hermit Kingdom itself, North Korea at 44%. And again, I don't know exactly how they go and calculate this 44% figure. You can see at the bottom here that their source is supposed to be from the World Bank. And I'm not doubting them. I'm just saying that, of course, they did not go door to door in North Korea and ask, hey, do you have access to electricity? If so, how often do you have access? How many hours a day? Especially in some of these countries, it is near impossible to get good data. They show you a satellite imagery that shows South Korea, Seoul here in the south, and North Korea, the difference that you can see. But as far as getting a percentage, I'm assuming that they might use some surveys. In some countries, GPS satellite is very good in other cases. And of course, you see some here in South Asia, although you do see some weird occurrences. So here in Pakistan, you see a 71% access rate, but then you look in Afghanistan and it's 100%, which I'm not trying to say anything bad about Afghanistan, but if Pakistan is at 71%, if Pakistan is at 71%, I'm a bit skeptical to say that then Afghanistan is at 100%, which many places in Afghanistan are even harder to reach, even more mountainous. Some of these numbers are definitely a bit skeptical. Getting access to everyone in some of these mountainous rural regions is very difficult, although becoming more and more possible with things like mobile solar units and cheaper batteries to go with them. And then, of course, here in Africa, I don't think anyone is surprised that many parts of Africa suffer from low electricity rates, mostly due from high poverty, corrupt governments, so on and so forth. We'll go over the lowest ones here in Burundi at 9%, Democratic Republic of the Congo at 19%. I'm not sure how to say this. Malawi at 13%. Obviously, some of these countries are both very poor, don't have very stable governments, and some of them have very hard to get to places, thick jungle and the like. Even if many of these countries were very rich, I think it would still be quite difficult for them to get up to a 100% rate. And here, a nice little figure it gives you is an estimated 600 million people are still living without access to electricity in sub-Saharan Africa. I would like to know the statistic worldwide, although I'm assuming that it would be close to a billion people or so worldwide that still don't have access to electricity, especially when you see some very populated places like Bangladesh, even India. India here is not at the whitest part. They're little beige in color. You can see next to China is in white. India is not. I hope this gave you guys a little insight into what life is like, the struggles that some people have to go through without even access to basic things like electricity. Then it's very hard for them to do things, start a business or get an education. These things are near impossible if you don't have full access to electricity. If you like this video, please leave a comment, give us a like, and see you next time, everyone.